Um, so last time we just covered only two shlokas, two sarishtups.
I can't see the text, Vladimir. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No? Somebody can see the text, Prajakta?
I can see it, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I think you have to find it in your
Yes,
way.
okay. Yes, I will.
Right. So let's start with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavato tadvaktaramavato avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, Dadhanritam Dhanayan Asya Dhitim Ad Id Ariyo. Didhishuva, Aryo didhishuvach vibhritrach. Atrishyanti hapasoyanti acha devanjanma prayasa vardhayanti. Dadhan ritam dhanayan asya dhitim. They held the truth, Dadhan ritam, the dynamic truth. They enriched the thought, dhanayan asya dhitim, of this human being. Ad id, then ad, indeed id, had the mastery and understanding, Aryo didhishuvach, vibhritrach, bearing wide the flame. The powers at work go towards the gods. Devan, making the birth to grow by delight. Prayasa, Janma, Devan, Janma Prayasa Vardhayanti. The powers at work, Apasach, go towards the gods. He doesn't mention the Atrishyanti, yes. Atrishyanti, not thirsty, literally. He skipped the word. I'm just identifying Hashirban. Yeah, if you, somebody, I will mute.
I'm trying to get in.
No problem, I mute you. So you unmute yourself and you speak. Great. So they held the truth, establishing the truth, Dadhan, from Ruddha, to establish the dynamic truth, and enriching the human being's thought, Dhanayan, making more valuable of his thought, Asya Dhitim, bearing vast in many directions, Vibhritrach, this thought most probably, the noble and the wise ones, Ariyach and Didhishvach. There are also footnotes here for Didhishu is wishing to gain or obtain. It's from striving after, seeking after. Also a suitor. So it's from desiderative form. Didhishati, didhishu. So the didhishus, these who kind of wise ones, who could think, who could put thought, or who could focus, concentrate their consciousness, or wish to focus and concentrate their consciousness, and noble ones, ariyah, yeah? They are vibhritrach, they're bearing this thought which was enriched by them, or by Agni, I don't know who, by who yet. Not thirsting, or these powers, yes. They enriched Dadhan. It's a third person plural. Injunctive. So establishing the dynamic truth and enriching his thought, they carry the wise ones and noble ones far in the vast, this thought. So they first establish and then they spread the focusing of consciousness, or the thought deity. Interesting. The dhishu and deity are related, from dhi, yes, to think. From here, dhyana also. Dhyai, another root from the same dhimahi. Yes. It's from kindred through dha. You see dadhan and dhi. Dha is there to hold. Dhi is to fix consciousness, also to hold thought, to narrow down. So those who powers who fixed his fixing, as it were, or his capacity to fix his consciousness and enriched it and spread it all over, atrishyanti, they, without not being thirsty, not thirsting, how to say, there's no word for this. The forces apasach, the forces or the powers which accomplish, yanti acha, go straight forward, devan vardhayanti, increasing gods and their birth, prayasa, by delight, most probably by delight of soma.
The birth here refers to the birth of the gods within us.
I think so, yes.
Thank you.
Sri Aurobindo puts the birth, capital birth, most probably even the birth of the divine in us. In the Veda, the birth of the gods in us is connected with our birth as divine beings, yes, so to say. These forces are here to increase and to nourish the divine flame within us, who is Agni. So they are all kind of working together. It's a one team. He brings them down, he makes them work, they work for him. They obey his will, his divine will. The other day I was thinking, why Agni actually? Why this image of Agni, you know? We are so used in our spiritual kind of meditations to have peace, to have, bliss, and not a flame, not a burning, thing. And then I understood that it is really a flame. It's a flame which doesn't leave any option for you to find somewhere, some way out. Everything is burning in this flame. It's as if you're burning. You have no choice. Yes, you're taken by the spirit, so to say. And this is the flame. It's not something like you have an option whether to go there or not. You don't have any option anymore. You're burning everything which comes to you. You give to this flame, it eats up all the whatever you are, whatever is around you, and you cannot think of anything or speak of anything but kind of this sacrifice, ongoing sacrifice. Nothing attracts you anymore. Nothing deviates your attention. You are one-pointed fire. Yeah? So that's why the flame. It's a very active power. It's not something passive, kind of, and pleasant peace and relaxation. Yeah? It's not this type. It's more a fulfilling force in us. And that's why kindling the fire of aspiration is such a big thing. And somewhere Mother says that this aspiration can be kindled in us by the divine. We really, when we think we are kindling it, it is just as simple that the divine is doing it for us. Yeah? We think that we are kindling the flame, but it cannot be kindled without the divine doing it for us. Because then we seek only the divine in everything. We cannot step out of it, of the search. I had a period in my life when I really was in some close to that, burning with desire to see the divine in everything. I couldn't think, speak of anything but the divine. People thought I was crazy. There was no other interest, and sometimes even nowadays people say, why can't you speak something normal when we get to some human stuff? There are lives of people going on, their families and so on and so forth. But truly speaking, all of it in the light of this flame doesn't make much sense, Without this flame, it makes no sense at all. So to say. Living for the sake of living, because you're not dying, it's not really the reason to live. There must be this something which brings sense to the living. And this is this flame. It is burning deep within us. But if we bridge it, if we bring it a little closer to the surface, it lights up the whole life. And in the next verse, there will be something of this kind. Mathid yad im vibhritach matarishva grehe grehe shiyeto genio bhut. Geniach Bhut Ad im Rajni Na Sahiya Se Sachasan Adutiyam Bhagavano Vivaya Mathidyat im Vibhritach Matarishva. And when the life breath, born pervadingly within, has churned him out in house and house, he becomes white and a conqueror. So he takes all over life. Then indeed he becomes the flaming seer, and companioning us goes on an embassy as for a powerful king. These are the allusions or imageries which are recognized by that inner movement when the flame is kindled. They are all kind of supporting the very movement of the flame. So my interpretation, when Matarishvan stirred him moving in all directions, then he became the shining conqueror in every house, becoming the messenger undertaking the role of the flaming seer as if a companion for a mighty ruler. So we know that Agni is representative of the divine here, of the divine will. He is the son of the Lord, and we are his children. We are all children of the Son of the Lord, of the King, of the one who is, of the Supreme. It's his messenger, dutiam, he takes his messaging power. What is interesting here is this grihe in every house. Yeah, this is typical for the Vedic language and also for later Sanskrit and even for Hindi later. No? Yeah. Dine, every day, something. This is coming from the most ancient usage of language. Sri Aurobindo uses this also in English even. I took one passage from Savitri, which is using this imagery. Thus will the masked transcendent mount his throne. In matter shall be lit the spirit's glow. This is exactly that fire. In body and body kindled the sacred birth. This in body and body, it's so not typical for English. But this is exactly from that syntaxis of Vedic language, yes? Grihe. Night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. The days become a happy pilgrim march, our will a force of the eternal's power, and thought the rays of a spiritual sun. All these imageries from the Veda, actually. Thoughts, the rays of the spiritual sun. This is from the Veda. All this one by one. But what is interesting here is this usage of Bhrigavanah Vimaya. He becomes a messenger undertaking the role of the flaming seer, or he becomes the flaming seer and companioning us. So who is this Bharigava, Bhargavas, Bhrigu? Sri Aurobindo speaks about two families of rishis, the Angirasas and Bhargavas, as you know. We spoke about this not once. But what is interesting here that Bhrigus are those ancient rishis who worshipped fire within the nature. Sri Aurobindo speaks about them as the rishis of the stars, representatives of the stars in the night, as it were. Here he is using the same imagery, what is amazing. In body and body kindled the sacred birth, night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. So what night, our unregenerated consciousness and being will awake to the messenger, as a messenger, this sacred birth will awake to these Bhargava rishis who support the flame in all nature. So it's not the flame, it's not aspiration in the heart. It is the divinity present in everything. And this is the support of these Bhrigu rishis, of the ancient Purva Rishaya. And later, there was a split on these two, Bhrigu, Bhargavas, and Angirasa rishis. Angirasa rishis started to worship Brihaspati. Brihaspati became the major Angiras, yes? And Bhrigu became someone, Shukracharya, in opposition to the Brihaspati. So we have Shukra, the Venus, and Brihaspati, the Jupiter. And this Jupiter and Venus in astrology, they are in opposition. One is the the leader or the teacher of the gods, Brihaspati. The other Shukracharya is the teacher of the asuras. So those asuras actually are the ancient gods. The ancient gods who, when the new gods were discovered, such as Indra and Brihaspati became their leader, Brihaspati became the teacher of new gods and Angirasa rishis, this was the discovery that the flame is in the heart. Yeah? When this discovery was made, the whole shift took place in the approach to spirituality in general. Before, it was through nature. By the means of nature, by offering the nature, you receive the divine. Yes, all these sacrifices, animal sacrifices, human sacrifices. Yes, you offer your body. Yeah, you offer everything, all the means of nature to the divine, and thus you receive the aim, you get to the divine. But then there was a shift into another cult, the cult of loving the divine, which wasn't there at the beginning. We can see it in every tradition. We spoke about this, about Abraham trying to sacrifice his son. And then when he was ready to already slaughter him, he hears the voice, I don't need the body of your son. Bring me the lamb pure. So that lamb pure is the symbol of the psychic being, of the love of the heart. And once that is that started to dominate this new cult. And once this new cult of love of the divine from the heart, discovered in the heart, was made, the older gods and older worshipping of the divine through the offering the means of nature became asuric in a way, became outdated. It was not wanted. It was like something like we see in Christianity and pagan religions. You know, when Christianity came, it started to blame every pagan religion as something demonic. This happened, and in this case, we can easily understand why Shukracharya and Brihaspati are in opposition, why Shukracharya is leading the Asuras. They are actually ancient gods who were doing the sacrifice in a different way. By the means of nature, they received the transformation of nature, and not by the means of love towards the divine. Well, that explains a little bit what was going on in the past. And why here these bhrigus are mentioned. Because what is mentioning here is this ancient way of spreading the divine presence in nature rather than in the heart of man. Yeah, in every body, as it were. Yeah, lit there or kindled the sacred birth. So it comes already not through the means of the psychic, but through the means of the presence of the divine in nature. Spiritual transformation, if you will, in our language, where Sri Aurobindo saw the divine in everyone, in everything, in the tree, in the bars of his cell, in the blanket, in that blanket which was given to him to cover himself in jail. He saw the embrace of his lover. Krishna was embracing him through the blanket. So this is something of this kind. Yeah? So there are two major movements of spirituality. One is psychic individual, coming to know the divine through individual means, through individual consciousness, love towards the divine. And the other is to feel the presence of the divine in the body, in the vital, in the mind, growing in all bodies, in all minds, in all beings, seeing the divine. So Bhrigus belonged to that first magic structure of consciousness where the oneness was dominating through nature.
I have a question here,
Yeah.
Vladimir. So this is in integral yoga, Sri Aurobindo talks about the one in the many and the many in the one. So we start with the realization of the divine within us in the heart, that is the psychic. And then Sri Aurobindo says it is, and then it grows into the love of the many because you see it in everyone. So both the movements, what I'm trying to get at here is that both Rigu and Angirasas are combined in the integral yoga.
Yes. He preferred to start with Angirasas and come to Bhrigus as the Purva Rishaya, the first worshippers of the divine through the means of nature. Yes. Once the psychic takes over the individual consciousness, then it becomes possible. And he even explains how it is. He says that the psychic will be enlarged by these divine forces to the extent of the universe, embracing all. So this is that. So psychic still stays essential, that flame. Well, it's much easier for us to operate like this through individual consciousness rather than through the universal. Both ways are possible. You can start with the universal also. It's just more difficult way, but it is also there, and it's still valid. There are many people go that way.
Many of the rituals, the rituals that people do in many Indian homes, the Satyanarayan Puja and other havans, the sacrificial fire they perform, it is the worship through the other way,
Yeah, it's a remnant of that ancient tradition where, in that sense, you see, rituals are like a presentation of the presentation. They are. There is something is to happen. The ritual itself is not happening. It's just a symbol. But if it is happening together with you feeling the growth of presence of fire within your consciousness grows, and then of course it works. But it's very rare that ritual is doing that to us. Even if you go to the temples, if you are very sensitive, you may get it, even if the priest who is doing it does not get it. You can stand there and you could feel the growth because it is happening within you. It is not happening without. So it's just a symbol which is to trigger in you that process of awakening.
I know when I am attending such a ritual, then my mind is more on the chanting that's going on, and then the pouring into the fire. Every few seconds, you have to offer to the fire, ghee and other stuff. So the priest is telling you what to do. So the mind is all occupied in the external action. There's very little going on inside, I'm afraid. I'm being very honest. Very little going on inside. It's all about concentration in what's happening outside. And the fire.
What is next? Was I right? Was it correct?
So it takes away from the feeling.
Nowadays it goes even worse. The priests are doing this and answering their cell phone, and and in between they're busy, totally busy. They already make a kind of appointment for the next ritual, how much it will be. Everything is going on very fast. It's a big business, but not always. Even if this is happening, you may be ready to receive it, if you are, because this is just an outer symbol. It was never meant to be the real thing. It was only symbolically to support you in your concentration to receive that awakening.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Vladimir, do you think this nature worship and trees and all, this went on to the Celtic people also in some way?
It was everywhere. Actually, it is everywhere. we've never left it, truly speaking. If you look at the normal world, you will see it that all our efforts to gain certain skills, for example, to become a good pianist or violinist or professor of some philosophy, you have to dedicate a lot of time and energy and life force to really gain certain level of skill. Yeah. So by the means of nature, we receive the improvement and evolution in nature, in the means of nature. This is this way, actually. You know, there are only two ways to improve. One is by the means of nature, to improve the instruments of nature, and the other is through surrender and love towards the divine. And when divine comes, it gives you all the means and improves your instruments and so on. But somewhere Mother says about this, it's much better to develop the instruments before you surrender them to the divine. Because then you are becoming much more capable. Divine can use it much more efficiently, yeah, for its own purpose. And she was even, or not she, she compared somebody, some different types of personalities. But if we look at even what we know as Sri Aurobindo, very well prepared instrument, you know, when it is given to the divine, what it can do. Yeah? Or you take someone of the same or level of consciousness somewhere, some Baba sitting in the Himalayas, it's a very different level. Different level from the possibility of manifesting the divine will and knowledge for others. He will be there in his own, you know, delight and his own kind of self-awareness, and that would be it. Or you compare, for example, Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, two people. It will give you immediately a very good example. Ramakrishna was the teacher of Vivekananda, but Vivekananda was a highly educated person, so instruments were ready, mental, vital, and physical. So he could travel to US and convert the whole US in one speech, you know, which Ramakrishna would not be able to do. But he enlightened Vivekananda. Right? So this capacity of nature is important for the manifestation of the divine. And it can be gained by two means, developing instruments by the means of nature, or by the means of love towards the divine and surrender to its force, receiving it, applying it, and developing the instrument for the divine work through that channel of love and surrender. But there you can't complain. You cannot say that you didn't get something, it doesn't work for you. There you are totally surrendered. Mother somewhere complained. She asked Sri Aurobindo why we are so mediocre in our mastery of things, skills. For example, she complained that she is not a kind of great painter or artist. Yeah, that was the complaint. Why should I stay on this kind of mediocre level? And Sri Aurobindo answered interestingly. He said that something like this, I don't remember, but I will paraphrase that. Our task is different. Our task is to be integral. We cannot dedicate all our time to gain one particular skill or several skills. Because even if you're a very skillful painter and very talented musician, it takes all the time to really develop that particular skill. So you will not have enough space and time to give oneself to the divine. And the divine cannot work through you because you will become narrow to your own mastery. You will become more and more egoistic to get it work perfectly. And then you will deliver. Yes, you will be very useful for the humanity in some way or another, and maybe even for the divine work, but not the same way as you would open to the divine and let it rule and drive you the way the divine needs you to do things. So this is the difference. There is no egoistic involvement at all. Where in the first Bhargava way, there is an egoistic involvement. There is this tapasya. Yeah? You do tapas, you have an aim, a goal, you want to achieve something, to realize something, and you put all your force into it, and you realize it at the end. But then you lost something, yeah, to be the instrument of the divine. It's a big topic. Actually, it's a wonderful topic for us to see these two ways and to understand that both of them are needed, and at the end they will be one way. But in this kind of manifested world, there are two different modalities. We cannot easily combine this psychic love in the heart and this Kundalini Shakti, this sexual center, awakening power within us. They are not kind of going together for some reason. Only in the highest realization they merge. There is no more contradiction. But on this, in our state, we have to choose one or the other. And Sri Aurobindo chose that the best way is to awaken psychic being first. Love for the divine, surrender to the divine, because this is the safe way. Yeah, then you will see what is right and what is wrong, and it will lead you faster to this realization of the vast divine, of Bharigus, of Bhargavas in nature. So he reversed the process. Though Bhargavas are ancient rishis and they started the whole movement, now they will become the last ones at the end. It's a manner of speaking, by the way, so don't take it literally. What I say is just thinking aloud about these fundamentals of the Vedic religion.
Hi.
Yes? Somebody is talking.
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's me. Audible?
Yes, Brito.
I was saying, when you spoke about instruments, how does one prepare the instruments? I know I sort of back of my head, I know it's about physical. I think Mental and Mother has written about it. But still, like, how does one really work on it?
You are so young. You have so much to work on. So don't worry. The whole life goes and then you see, well, you wasted so much time. You didn't prepare this. You didn't do that. You didn't succeed here. So there will be a lot of regrets at the end. But still, we go on. You can prepare it by being very skillful worker. Work hard on every skill, on every development. We are thinking in developing something which we call integral paradigm of knowledge. Yeah? That means to develop all the major faculties of consciousness, to train them. We had an interesting discussion with the group of people who are doing the curriculum for the government. They want for Indian government, for universities, and they are working, creating a new approach to education. So I met with few of them and was presenting them the idea of the Upanishads, where we should develop the faculties of consciousness rather than be engaged in domains of learning and developing skills. Yeah? Skills are important, like skills, for example, carpentry or masonry, whatever, yeah? Or even painting or musician. These are skills. But the faculties which are standing behind them are more important. So there are faculties of speech, of thought, of seeing, of hearing, yes, of feeling, emotions, and consciousness in the body. And these major faculties can be developed. There are exercises. You have to train them. It's like you're going to gym and train yourself to run faster or to push bigger weights up and so on. So you have to train your system, your capacities or faculties of consciousness. In the yeah.
Sorry, and I was just saying, but how is it that there are so many people who look like they have not worked on their faculties as much as, but they're still a lot better? And for example,
I don't think they are better. They're just they are presenting themselves as better, or they are lucky in some way or something. But it doesn't mean that you will be very successful immediately. But the success will come to you if you develop the faculties of consciousness. For example, if you develop only one faculty of speech, if you master the word. Only one, not the mind, even not the thinking, but the way you speak, how you address, how you communicate, how you express yourself, to what degree of clarity you can express yourself, that would change your life. One faculty. And if you are a good thinker, if you see immediately the point, if you understand what is going on, if you can think in different types of logic, in different types of grammar, in different ways and modalities, and are not bewildered by it, then you become a great person. There are two faculties. And if you can concentrate and silence the mind, and that is the faculty, silencing the mind and concentrating the mind, then you can know everything. As Vivekananda said, if I would only know that I have to learn only one thing, is how to concentrate the mind, I would not spend so much time learning other subjects. Because with this power of concentration, you can learn anything and everything much more efficient. These are the faculties. So if we develop that kind of approach to education, then you may speed up the whole process. Yeah, we could discuss this. It would be interesting. We can even look into it together if you want, Prito. We can invite you to these meetings.
I really want to. I'm doing master's learning and I'm struggling like a lot. And it's such an academic, and I am like constantly like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. Everybody can do that. I am the person who would write poetry, and I'm like, oh shit, what is happening? Suddenly it's all like, I feel like I don't know anything.
Well, to feel that you don't know anything is a good feeling, actually, because it's true. And from there you start knowing, yeah? Because if you think you know something, it's something wrong, and you should know that there's something wrong is going on with you. But nevertheless, it's a good idea to really look into it. We do something similar with Jaya Shri in the conscious sleep course. We develop certain faculties, capacities of consciousness to be aware of what is going on. Yeah? Development of memory, development of attention, development of concentration, power of concentration, which cannot be gained without silencing the mind. And try to silence your mind, and you will see how difficult it is. It requires training. It's like a muscle. You have to do it every day. You have to want it. If you don't do it, then it will be naturally developing slowly.
But I want to come for that faculty of consciousness meeting which you were talking about, and also this Jai Shri's meeting. It sounds really.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, great. Well, it's a bit deviation, but let's take another verse. Mahe yat pitre im rasam dive kar. Such a brief language of the Veda, kar. It's injunctive from root kri. Yeah? Ava sarat preshan yach chikitvan srejat asta dharashata didyum asmai swayam devo duhitari tvishim dhat. You see, Sanskrit is such a brief here. Dhat, sarat, those who know Sanskrit, kar, these are the injunctives, which Panini even doesn't look into, because these are like past tense without argument, which can be used translated in any modality or any tense. So when he had made this sap of essence for the great Father Heaven, he came slipping down, one close in touch, having knowledge. The archer loosed violently on him his arrow of lightning. But the god set the flaming energy in his own daughter. What can you understand of this? Oops, here we arrived, finally. Full stop. Yeah, we can't understand much. Truly speaking, I also was beating around the bush quite a bit on this. But if this is the symbolism, we can try to think. We may find a way out. We need to dwell in it. So when he created essence for his father, Rasam, for his father great heaven, Mahe Dive Pitre, Yat, when Rasam Kar, he made the essence, the quintessence. He means Agni. When Agni created the essence for the great Father Heaven, there's some mysterious thing going on that Agni creates the essence, the seed. It can be translated also as the seed which conceives the being. Ava Sarat, and moving down literally. Prishanyach, kind of close in touch or touching, or closer, of closer touch of where, I translate. Prishanyach Chikitvan, he moved down, closer and closer to aware of the touch. Interesting. Touch is something most probably closer to the material being. Srijat Asta, the archer, released Didyum, the shining arrow, Dharashata, with force, violently released his shining arrow, Asmai, onto him. Who is this archer? We have no idea. And the god, Devach, Swayam Duhitari, in his own daughter, Tvishim Dhat, established the energy. There's something going on here that that energy was established within the nature. I think daughter here is the lower nature, Paraprakriti, to him who is the great heaven father. And within her, he created or established that seed or that light, that lightning, that which becomes the seed, the spark from which the being will be born. This is my take from this verse. If you have any other interpretation, you please, share. Many people translate it in a very sexual sense. I don't see it at all here. There's no even, but because of the essence, it translated as the salmon, and then slippering down. It means that it is going into the down, into cast into the, so from each conception, the being is born. which is, by the way, as a symbol, as a natural symbol, is very possible if we keep in mind also the spiritual symbol, both. Because in these two modalities which we discussed, the modality of the nature and the means of nature, achieving the improvement of nature, and by the love of the divine towards, we receive all the necessary support of the divine to develop the nature. By these two formations, this verse can be interpreted. Yeah? It fits for both.
Could I am just thinking very loosely that could the archer be Indra over here
Could be.
because of the arrow of lightning thing, and could the daughter be, I don't know, one of the female goddesses?
I think the Prakriti is the daughter holding the womb of entire humanity, and the fire which is rising up in her is the aspiration of all the humans towards. I mean, it has come down and has found its seat in the womb of this Prakriti, the nature which supports the human beings, our bodies, our day-to-day life. But the inside is this aspiration towards that higher knowledge, Agni rising. So the Prakriti is actually nature, but also the daughter is also the mother who holds the womb of all the humanity.
Right. She's, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's how I felt. I mean, I don't have any logic, but this is how I felt from everything that you're reading and saying and what I'm reading on the screen. Because the God set the flaming energy in his own daughter. It's like, you know, it's like the same thing, the ascend and the descend, right? So the energy has descended and held house in the womb where all the humanity will aspire then upwards again towards that divinity.
So for me also, it's this, a daughter as there's some footnote. Is it the process of involution? Yes, absolutely. Yes. That's what I understand also. The daughter here is the secondary formation of Paraprakriti as a Paraprakriti, in my view. Yeah? So to say, it produced the Paraprakriti, the divine Shakti, who is close to the divine and kind of conceives the divine, projects itself in a new fashion, so to say, in the darkness, and becomes that recipient of the light in a new manner. So with this daughter, we have several problems in Rig Veda. Yes, the daughter, the son, with the son also, the mother comes and marries her son. So it doesn't really work, but that son, Agni, actually is the Lord, yes? And she, Usha, is no more the mother, she is the daughter, actually. She is the daughter, it's like Savitri and Satyavan. They become the daughter and the son of Ashwapati and Yumatsena, yes? Of the greater powers of the god. So to say, they are representatives here. And in that sense, when the father establishes the light or the power, flaming power in the daughter, that means the soul has descended, or the spark was made within the body, within the nature.
Because it's always the female who is giving birth. Birth is evolution. And also, I mean, loosely speaking, even in the tarot, you have the empress who is always pregnant and she's giving birth all the time. So it could also mean that, you know, and birth for a great evolution, like Rashi said about Kriti, and so did you, that, you know, she's always seeing that bringing forward a new energy, a flaming energy, who's being born.
from that heaven.
Right, absolutely. So there is a kind of secret passage from heaven to her, from where she reveals that, yes, force in the form of birth. Yes, absolutely. Yes, I also think this is something intuitively about that. But with the capacity of our understanding, we can arrive at this. It's already good. There could be also more things which are also implied. But this language is applicable to many, many contexts because it's a universal form of knowledge, yeah, which covers intuitively something we already know, but we need to reveal it to our surface mind. And so it is triggering in us this process of, can you find that what you already know? So we are trying to tap inside and find that. Yeah, I feel, as Rashi was also saying, that's what I feel when what comes to me when I see these words. Yes, it's not a logical kind of conclusion, and the same with Gita Shri. So this is a very good, and also merging of Purusha and Prakriti. Yes, Purusha is the higher consciousness, is being born in Prakriti as the being, because there is the light there. It is established there. If that light would not be there, that flame, there would be no world. There will be nothing. So if he would not establish that Tvishim, that flaming force within her, within the lower Prakriti, there would be no manifestation. But it is ongoing, as you said rightly, Empress. She's constantly bringing to birth. This is the third card of the Tarot, yes. She's constantly bringing to birth the world. Yes? But from where? Because there is this archer, Indra, who is with his flaming lightning establishes piercing the lower hemisphere. And it is said, actually, well, you see, we are now finally arriving by dwelling. In Aitareya, there is the whole passage of this, where it is explained, Koyam Atmeti Vayam Upasmahe. Who is that Atma that we are worshipping? But is it he that by which we think? Is he that by which we speak? Is he that by which we see? Or by so no, he is someone. So he saw, but this being is already seeing, speaking, feeling. So who am I? He asks Atman. And then Indra brings him through the Seaman from the higher as a lightning into the being. Yeah? By cracking the higher this, he brings the light of the Supreme into our midst. And that is Indra in Aitareya. I have to find Aitareya. I pull Aitareya now text. 1 second. And that may explain actually to us what it is.
Could the archer also be the god of love who shoots the arrow?
Archer, well, you mean they like Kamadeva? He's also he's shooting his flowers actually. But yes, why not? But this lightning, Didyum, yeah, it's closer to the archer of Indra rather than Archer. You see, nobody translated Archer as Indra here. Sri Aurobindo usually gives this. Even look at this at the Griffith translation. The archer boldly shot at him his arrow. So at him, yeah, at Agni in a way. It could be that Archer, this Indra, is leaping down to Flame who is calling. Flame is actually always an invocation. whereas lightning from above is the answer to this invocation. And when Indra,
Actually,
yeah,
actually, why I said Indra is somewhere I had read that I think in Mandala 10 or something that Indra drops his Vajra and it goes to the ocean, and then Vak Devi is the daughter around whom the oceans swirl, and she's asking, who is this Indra who has dropped this Vajra? I just connected these two things up.
Interesting. Thank you. Now we know where it is coming from. But also, yes, in general, these where he throws his shot, his lightning into the Agni, who is calling, as it were, at him. Him is here Agni. He created the essence for his father heaven, because Agni is a representative of the father. He is the son of the father, so to say, son of Rudra, as it were. And he created the essence of his father and flew down and descended down, as it were. The fire came down into the midst of the darkness, and then forcefully the Vishnu, with the Indra's help, because that is Vishnu behind Indra's action, released his lightning down, and the connection was made between the lower divinity and the higher divinity in a metaphysical sense. And once that connection is made, the God established flaming force in his daughter. That's how it is being established.
I think we are getting somewhere. Thank you, Vladimir.
Right.
I think if we keep discussing and dwelling, we could come up with a very nice animated film, because this is also dramatic and juicy and interesting and spiritual. We could all create a nice script for a little film one day, Vladimir.
Yeah, definitely. Fine. That's about time. It's becoming more and more popular. On you can find the Indian films are long, huge, on Mahadev, on Mahabharat, so elaborate. You can learn a lot. There's so much to learn from these films. Also, it's very interesting. I watch them with joy, especially to see how they interpret those events, because you may have another interpretation. Interpretations are welcome. It's no problem. You may interpret it differently, yes? But event is still staying, holding your consciousness, and you learn more and more. This is one element, that is another element, and you learn to comprehend things instead of opposing things and highlighting only one as right. You can think of that all of them can be right in a particular context. Yeah? And that is the freedom we gain from these texts, I think. Okay, we can stop here for today. And then we continue from the next verse. 6. There's more waiting, more surprises. All right, I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.